Good Game. I'm Bajo.
And I'm Hex.
This week on the show, we go to extreme and violent lengths to get a new hood ornament for our car.
Seems a bit unnecessary.
Gotta pimp that ride, Hex.
You want new bulbs?
I want new ladies! Yeah! I want a lot of them!
Also, we turn up the decibels on a new stealth game from the creator of Thomas Was Alone.
And Hex, you know what really grinds my gears?
Terrible puns.
No, I love those. It's endless HD remasters, but perhaps this remaster will be the master of all. It may be masterful.
You! Traitor like you doesn't deserve to wear the uniform.
Looks to me like you need all the help you can get.
Step aside.
But before all that, can you name the game for this week?
Gears of War, aka the game where you chainsaw baddies in half, has been remade for the Xbox One. It's called Gears of War Ultimate Edition, but is it ultimate?
Welcome back to the army, soldier.
Shit.
The original game came out way back in 2006.
Yes, and in video game time, that's ancient history. Cover mechanics were a novelty, and everyone was getting excited about greyish-brown games, which was the style of the time. Give me 5 brown games for $1, they would say.
Yes, thank you, Bajo. Now, this remaster is the debut effort of a relatively new studio, the Coalition. They're essentially the Gears of War studio.
Things have changed.
Just like 343 Industries is now the Halo studio.
And this is a bit of a softball for them, isn't it? Before launching Gears of War 4. Just start with the first game, make it prettier, and don't screw it up. Basically, don't do what the Master Chief Collection did.
Yeah, as with most remasters, this is all about the new graphics. And they've actually given it quite a substantial facelift, to the point that I thought it sits very easily in this generation. It doesn't have one of those old graphics, new graphics switches that the Halo remasters did, which isn't a big deal, but it does make it harder to see the specific differences.
Yeah, I remember when Gears of War came out, it just blew us away. You know, it was one of the best looking games around, and for quite a while. It's essentially a showcase for the Unreal 3 engine. I don't think it retakes the title of Belle of the Ball, but it's definitely easy on the eyes.
No, I don't actually.
And they actually have added a fair bit more colour to the game to break up all that brown.
Oh, yeah.
We better go.
What about the other prisoners?
They've also redone cutscenes to make them more cinematic.
Hoffman pardoned everybody.
Is that right?
And there are 5 extra missions that were previously exclusive to the PC version. But outside of that, this is still the exact same game that I remember.
So I guess the big question is, how has this gameplay aged?
Well, it mostly feels like a modern third-person shooter to me. I mean, some of the movement can feel a little clunky compared to what we're used to now. It can feel a bit like steering a shopping trolley at times. But I think the mechanics still hold up.
Yeah, that combat is pretty rock solid, and that cover system is just so intuitive. In fact, it's better than most cover systems we play now. Also, the game has this weighty meatiness to it, from the sounds to the actual meat.
Got one.
Yeah, it is a meaty game, isn't it? Anyway, I still love the way the enemy AI is so relentless and pushing up to you and trying to flank you. It makes every firefight really tense.
Yeah, and the way it encourages you to push back is great too. When those grub holes open up, you just want to get right up there and lob a grenade in as quickly as possible. Not to mention, getting up close and personal is the only way you get to break out the game's signature move. Still gross. The friendly AI can be a little thick at times though, and they seem to love running straight into danger, or will often just stand in your way.
Yeah, it's definitely better to play in co-op to get a little bit more human intelligence on your side. Plus, I still think it's one of the best co-op games out there.
Although I thought all those loading doors were a bit of a reminder of the game's age.
Ah, yes.
I'll open the door. I've got the code.
Loading doors are a hallmark of Unreal Engine 3 games, aren't they? And don't you just love those slow walking, talking on the radio bits?
I do not like them. I do not like them at all. They're not overly intrusive, but they drive me crazy. Just let me past. Especially the time he did it while grubs poured out of the ground and shot at me.
Be advised, the train is accelerating to avoid capture, so the timetable just got a whole lot shorter.
Get off the radio, Marcus. Nobody cares about the story.
What do you mean?
Yeah, the story is pretty basic, isn't it? It's more of a small list of plot points played out by a one-dimensional cast of dude bros.
That is accurate. You get the Sonic Whatchamacallit, shoot it off in some caves, shoot a bomb into them, roll credits.
Yeah, bring it on, sucker. This my kind of shit.
But it's still a great universe they've created. The whole Emergence Day backstory and the Locust threat is a unique spin on an alien Armageddon. It's an interesting world to be in.
Yeah, and there's some lovely European-style architecture to admire along the way, even if most of it is blown to pieces. How do you think the multiplayer holds up?
Oh hex, extra frames! The boost to 60 frames is great, it makes it all feel more responsive. And they've added in a few new modes, like the community-inspired 2v2 Nasher Execution, plus all the DLC and PC maps, so there's more variety than there used to be. Although if they did add a horde mode, that would have been perfect.
Yeah, it's definitely a very intimate style of multiplayer, isn't it, with a maximum of 4v4. And everyone's always trying to get in close for those shoddy kills or a chance to humiliate you. And, you know, I just think it has a very distinct style compared to a lot of shooters out there.
The best part is, it all works. All the online matchmaking works, you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. What are you going to give it overall, Hex?
I think it's a very faithful and well-done remaster of a great game, so I'm giving it 4 out of 5 stars.
I agree, and I'm also giving it 4 out of 5 stars.
I expect you to give me 110%, Phoenix.
I'm not doing this for you.
And now Goose has got some news stories for us.
Here's what's making headlines. Gearbox Software has announced that they are developing a Borderlands movie with the studio responsible for the Hunger Games films, Lionsgate Entertainment. No casting or plot details have been revealed, however the film will apparently maintain the series' in-your-face attitude.
Do you mind asking yourself what you're doing?
And Gearbox president Randy Pitchford has said the film will likely be rated R. The buried Atari games dug up from the fabled New Mexico landfill have raised just over 150,000 Australian dollars at various auctions. 881 games were sold in total, including copies of E.T., along with various other games such as Missile Command and Asteroids. Many games were, however, spared the auction hammer, with 23 titles being donated to museums, 100 going to the film company responsible for creating the documentary Atari Game Over, and almost 300 being held onto for sale at a later date. Metal Gear Solid 5 senior producer Kenichiro Imizumi has revealed that Konami's programmers gave up their summer vacation in order to bring the PC release date of the game in line with the console version. In a tweet, Imizumi revealed the programmers' sacrifice and said it was kinda sad and that their families were obviously not happy. However, he added the team enjoyed the work and that the team chose to do it. Amazon's gaming division has lost some substantial talent recently with 3 high-profile departures. Industry veteran and Far Cry 2 director Clint Hocking parted ways with them to return to Ubisoft as creative director at Ubisoft Toronto. Eric Nyland, who previously wrote several Halo novels and story bibles at Microsoft, joined Amazon as director of narrative design in 2013 but quit the company in July. And finally, Amazon's principal game designer, Jonathan Hamill, who joined the company in 2014 after 5 years at Tomb Raider studio Crystal Dynamics, has also left. And that's all for this week.
Thanks, Goose. Volume is a stylish top-down stealth game brought to us by Mike Bithell, who created the charming platformer Thomas Was Alone.
Thomas was alone. Wow. A weird first thought to have.
This is a pure stealth game, by which I mean there is pretty much no combat. So you won't be sneaking up behind guards and snapping necks or whipping out your silenced pistol. Guards will happily punch your ticket if they spot you and manage to catch you though.
The goal in each level is to simply collect all the shiny diamonds scattered around. Once you grab them all, the exit opens up and you just have to walk into it. Level complete.
You have a few classic stealth tools at your disposal too. For example, you can whistle or use parts of the environment to create distractions.
Is there someone out there?
There are bright cones of vision and obvious patrol paths as well, so it's always pretty easy to see where to go and what to do.
I did think this game is a bit too easy, actually. There were only a couple of times I had to stop and really think about how to get past a set of guards, and the checkpoints are super generous, so I was never afraid of being caught.
I thought there were some moments of decent challenge. I mean, sure, it's easy to see what needs to be done, but it can still take a few goes to actually pull it off. It's not what I'd call a hard game, but it's still satisfying to beat. And as things progress, things do get more complicated.
Yeah, one thing they've done really well is that drip feed of new ideas. Every few levels, you'll find a new guard type, a new gadget,
I reset you.
or an environmental hazard gets added into the mix, so there are always these new wrinkles being folded in, which helps keep you engaged. Some gadgets felt pretty overpowered though, especially since guards are quite dumb anyway and will give up looking for you very easily.
Yeah, I didn't think that was a negative though, since it's actually an essential mechanic. Distracting them from their paths and then hiding is just part of your arsenal. And I thought it gave everything a great sense of improvisation. I mean, often your plans will go horribly wrong, but somehow you manage to twist and turn those disasters into some cobbled together success.
I just felt like I was able to game the system too easily with those overly generous checkpoints and that predictable AI. I wasn't a fan of the music either. Every time you get spotted and that music plays, it was just starting to grate on me by the end of the game. It's just too epic, Hex.
It gets the blood pumping though.
It does, but not after the 1000th time.
I'm undecided. Blocking your use of the
Plus it interrupts dialogue and causes it to reset, which gets annoying since you end up hearing the same start to the same sentence over and over.
I'm undecided. Blocking your use of the volume would be a bite.
Yeah, sometimes you do just have to stop moving so that you can focus and just listen to what everyone is saying.
No one's stopping this stealth machine, Hex.
Thank you. You didn't have to.
I did.
Most levels only take a few minutes to complete. They do come with a par time though, so there's an emphasis on being as fast and efficient as possible.
There's no penalty for going over par though, as far as we could tell. You still unlock access to the next level if you go over, so there's really only as much pressure on you as you want, which is kind of cool. And even though the levels are short, there are 100 of them in the main campaign, so it will take a while to play through them all. And there's a level creator too, so there's always a supply of user-made levels to tackle.
And you can actually play the user-created levels instead of the main levels in the game, and they still count to the story, which is such a clever idea. And they even weave the story into those levels too. So if you do find some of the main game a bit easy, you can try and hunt down some harder user creations for more of a challenge. What do you think of the actual story though, Hex?
Well, this is billed as a sort of futuristic retelling of Robin Hood.
Hi, Rob. Alan.
It's the year 2050 and you play as Rob, who's fighting back against an oppressive corporation using Alan, a type of AI known as a volume.
I was a bit confused, Hex. Is this some sort of simulation? Is he stealing from real people? Is it a game? I don't know, I wasn't paying that much attention, I was just stealing all the gems.
I kind of liked it, and I thought it had some worthwhile comments to make on society and artificial intelligence and so forth. And I was glad to hear Sean Wallace return to voice the AI.
Not actually 100% sure your solution is optimal, but proud.
And Andy Serkis actually plays the villain, so the voice acting is top notch.
You inspire messy people, Loxley. People who get caught. People who take weapons into my friends' homes, just in case.
I didn't like Rob much though, he just sounded a bit out of place.
I've been training as long as I can remember. I was set to follow in my parents' footsteps. You're actually the same model as my first volume, Retro.
Yeah, he did a bit, but to be fair, it's tough going up against two voice actors like that. What are you giving it?
I know I've been quite negative in this review, Hex, but I did actually quite enjoy this game. There is a lot to like here, but I just didn't love it, so I'm giving it 2.5 stars.
Well, it's not without its flaws, but I was always keen to jump into the next level. It's stylish, bite-sized stealth with an interesting take on user-generated content, so I'm giving it 3.5 stars.
I was once on Pandora. I was wearing my fedora with my friend Nora. We were checking out the flora, 'cause she comes from Bora Bora, and then we ate a potato. Oh, shit! I was almost Shakespeare there. Hi, I'm Dave Callan, amateur poet and professional games investigator. Well, I was once on Pandora, and I found a mysterious sight. It was Borderlands 2 in the Caustic Caverns. It's hard not to notice the distinctive low-res textures making up one of the blocky walls. Smash your way through and you'll find a hidden tribute to Minecraft, a secret cave complete with creepers and blocks. You could say it takes the game up a notch. That's why they pay me the big bucks. Me and the scriptwriter. Speaking of which, I'm gonna use this here typewriter app, or as it was called back then, a typewriter. Ah! Ow!
This is a love story between a man and his car in the open road.
Won't somebody tell me and answer if you can? I want someone to tell me what is the soul of a man.
I need peace. Must reach the plains of silence.
But do you not want them right now? You know nothing of me.
I've traveled different countries, traveled in furthest land. Haven't found one to tell me.
Mad Max is an open-world sandbox game that isn't a tie-in to any of the films. It does draw inspiration from them, of course, and follows the journey of Max and his rusty ride on the lonely, dusty road. Hex, it's about time we got a AAA Mad Max game.
Absolutely, and with Avalanche Studios behind the wheel, who are known for the excellent Just Cause series, we had high hopes for Mad Max. Let's get into it, Bajo. Max is running from his past in a post-apocalyptic world and seeking revenge for those that did him wrong and stole his gear and his ride.
Listen, my apostles of Alpha. You've hunted well.
But as fate would have it, he meets a mechanic by the name of Chumbucket, who sees something unique in Max.
Yes, Chumbucket recognizes him as kind of a mythological figure, part of a prophecy of sorts.
You're the driver.
And wants to help Max build the ultimate machine, the magnum opus. Chumbucket and all the other characters you'll meet along the way are dirty, ragged, a little crazy, and look like they have a story to tell.
We will deliver to you a bona fide grease pit! Ah, praise be the prophet!
This is such an interesting world to be in, Bajo. It's a desperate, desolate world where survival depends on who you align yourself with and who has the strongest gate. And I feel like it has quite a different tone to other post-apocalyptic games.
Yeah, it's got this real contrast, doesn't it? Like, it's all quite depressing, but then it has this crazy manic side to it as well. Life is cheap, but death is also kind of exciting in a chaotic sort of way. It also feels quite different because it's an open world game where you spend most of your time in your car.
The story is definitely a slow burn though. Max is a strong, silent type and you wouldn't exactly call him a nice person.
No, but then again, it's not a nice world.
You drifted far from what you were.
In fact, it's quite hard to fully work out his motivations from what we've played of the game so far, which is around 15 hours.
I need to join the races now.
Okay. Maybe we can find a spot for a man of your, temperament.
I just wish there was a bit more character development in general, though. I get that Max has a mysterious past and that he's very much winging it out in the dust. I'm just craving to know more, but most of the encounters are do a favor for me and I'll let you stay in my stronghold.
Yeah, once you get past that opening section, the story moments are pretty spread out.
I do like all the crazy characters he meets, though. They're terrifying.
Oh, who could forget that whimpering? And the devious suckling face. Oh, dead a dozen times if you do, boy.
The dialogue's really fun too. I liked the script and most of the voice acting.
Yeah, I liked it as well, especially in those rare moments where they do actually delve into the mythology of Max.
There you are. Shifter of sands, letter of blood, remnants of a ruined past.
It's always so exciting being in a world that has its own dialect and culture, and it's great to have an Aussie voice lead, and many other characters in the game with Aussie accents as well.
Feels like home.
Sharks, links too.
It's got to be 8 cylinders, nothing less.
We will get there.
I'm so glad they went down that path too. It really works for the game and it just sets it apart.
Yeah, it's over the top in a good way and not in a cheesy way like in those Dead Island games. Remember that? That was bad.
So bad.
It was bad, wasn't it?
So bad.
You've come very far, and with a great hunger.
But Hex, let's get to the meat of the game, what you'll actually be doing.
Yes, as you progress through the open world, you'll be fighting your way through the land, taking out and dismantling gang hideouts, disrupting convoys on the road, and building up friendly strongholds.
A proposition then. I'll weaken their grip on these lands. You give us the use of your garage and tools.
spending a lot of time collecting scrap. In fact, if you step back and look at this game's core, it's mostly about scrap collection to get more upgrades so that you can go out and get more scrap. So to enjoy this game, you have to be okay with that.
You know what, Hex? I am okay with that. I freaking love upgrading stuff.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I admit I found it a little tedious at first and I was craving more depth. But after a few hours, Bajo, when you start to feel those upgrades affecting your ride and you start to unlock more vehicle weapons and a new beard for Max, I decided I was on board with the search for scrap.
And there are so many upgrades, Hex. So many upgrades. I need them all. From car types to weaponry to armor, and your base car is just so rubbish that it's easy to get disheartened as you spin about and crash into walls early on. But soon enough, you really start to own that road, and driving becomes more about controlled precision chaos.
You can drive other cars which have their own advantages, like not being detected by gangs. But Max's car is as much a part of Max as his fists.
Yes, and there's a lot of things you'll need to punch with that car. Such as convoys, which are a tough selection of cars that do crazy laps around different areas of the map, kicking up dust and just begging for you to take them down. And it's in these fights you start to realize how important your car's weapons and upgrade choices are. Luckily, you can upgrade most items on the fly.
And really, it doesn't take much to damage your car either. A jump too high, a rock that hit too hard, snipers. But the car is built to take damage. Your goal is just to dish out more than you take. The way it jumps, lands, spins, and crashes, damage penalties are balanced for what you're actually putting the vehicle through.
I just love how loud it is too, Hex, especially when you go from the silence of the wasteland to revving that engine. And I became particularly obsessed with these convoys, Hex, because when you take out the leader, you get their hood ornament. And it just feels like Mad Max in these moments, ramming other cars off the road, often driving without really looking at what's ahead of you. You also have a bunch of vehicular weaponry, of course, the most important being your harpoon. This can be used to rip off parts of other cars and pull out drivers. It also has practical uses, such as taking out camp defenses and revealing hidden loot locations.
Activating the hook slows down time. This allows you to aim and fire. You can also shoot explosive harpoons, and there's a powerful sniper rifle which can be used from range to weaken a base before you go in. So your car is kind of a weapon and a utility vehicle all rolled into one.
I love how much dust gets kicked up by these cars. And how enemies jump on your vehicle and stab at you. And there's some pretty chaotic moments, especially when you've taken too much damage and you're forced to get out so Chumbucket can do repairs.
I love that. I love how the game doesn't ever permanently wreck your car. It just forces you to bail and fight on foot for a time. It means you're never losing the momentum of a fight, or ever without a vehicle for long.
Plus, it's so thrilling as the cars circle around you and toot their horns.
Car combat isn't perfect, though. There are fiddly moments with aiming your weapons. It doesn't ruin the enjoyment of the game, but it certainly doesn't feel as polished as it could be.
Yeah, I think the same could be said about a lot of the controls in general. I never really got that muscle memory of what does what, you know? I was always forced to consult on-screen hints or misfiring and wasting precious ammo. Or just putting a weapon away when I needed to get it out. Like you say though, Hex, these issues are minor and they don't ruin the experience of the game, but they could be better.
Yeah, there's no advanced parkour system either, so you're only able to climb up yellow painted objects, which feels a little restrictive. Max can jump, but it's a little baby jump, isn't it, Bajo?
Yeah, although in fairness, that's about as high as I can jump in real life.
When you're not fighting on the road, you'll be fist punching Batman style. Combat is a mix of charges, dodging, counters, weapon pickups, and shotgun blasts. And you really have more than 1 or 2 bullets for your shotgun, at least early on. This limited supply of ammo is a good thing though. It makes shooting a calculated move and always exciting.
I never tired of the combat, Hex, especially when you start to get to those tougher bases and you're fighting guys with shields, or watching out for war cries, which, if not dealt with quickly, will buff everyone around them.
I'm just a little drummer boy.
Yeah, there is plenty to think about in all of the fights. And like everything else, there's lots to upgrade, so you get plenty of variation as the game goes on. I especially liked the rough and tumble mechanics when you push an enemy against the wall. Some of Max's moves are brutal, and the counter system is unforgiving when you mess up. Well, there's a lot this game gets right, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this game really does capture the spirit and themes of Mad Max.
Yeah, I just love looking out over the horizon or scanning with binoculars. Somehow each zone just manages to have its own identity too. You don't feel like you're zipping through the same desert over and over. The wide open world is always beckoning, urging you to rev that engine and let your ride loose into the vast expanse as it growls over the sand dunes and itches for mayhem. I just didn't even bother with fast travel most of the time.
Yeah, I think that's the ultimate compliment for an open world game, right? The car is just so much fun. It's a battering ram of rusted metal with crazy suspension. Ah, and when a sandstorm hits, oh man.
Oh, they are incredible. The howling of the wind, the dust, the colours.
It's so intense. I don't think I've ever seen anything in a video game like it before.
Yeah, I love how everyone gets caught up in it as well and gets hit with debris. My biggest criticism is that things have started to feel a little repetitive without enough story to keep me on board. But even so, I had a blast harpooning my way around the desert. I'm giving it 3 stars.
I just want to drive back into that storm and see where the road takes me, Hex. I'm giving it 4 stars. And a special award for being the first game to let me eat maggots out of a dead corpse for health.
Gross.
Delicious.
Oh, me off. Alright, she running?
Yeah. Well, Bajo, Goose is in jail. We got the arcade machine up and running. I guess it's case closed. One thing I never figured out, though. Why Dick?
Well, I guess some games you just can't name. You wanna go get a drink?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know this place downtown.
Was Scooby-Doo First Frights, released in 2009. In the game, you played through some of the very first spooky missions of Mystery Inc. as they were making a name for themselves as those pesky kids. You collected clues, solved puzzles, and fought off creepy creatures, all while trying to work out who the villain was.
Come on, Scoob. Gotta find those clues.
Clues?
And it's our Name the Game because the director of design, Frank Rook, was the director behind this week's Mad Max.
Next week on the show, it's Solid Snake, or is it Liquid Snake, or is it Old Snake? Anyway, one of the snakes is back for Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain.
I think The Phantom Pain is trying to remember the complicated story of the series.
No. There's another.
Don't get spotted.
Burn with the rest of them.
Boss, get out of there!
Before we go, we just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who came along to the Enmore Theatre on Saturday to see Spawn Point and Good Game Live.
Yes, we all had a great time and it got pretty wild, Hex.
Yeah.
And we hope that everyone that came enjoyed themselves as well.
Until next time, may all your games be good ones. Hex out.
Bajo out.
Oh, my foot's asleep.
Oh no.
Oh no!